Guys, welcome back to session three of goal setting and the final session here. Before we get started, again, this is your coach, Michael Marchand, Choose to Win Ziglar Licensed Coach, and we wanted to recap what we covered in the first two sessions. Just in case you weren't here, or maybe you're seeing this video and you haven't seen the other two, wanted to give you kind of a quick overview of what we've covered so far. That way, if it seems like something that you're into, you can go back and watch the first two videos and get the full story. But anyway, jumping right in here, our initial contact goals. Goals is a dream with a deadline. And a dream can be any number of things. It can be something you want to be or become, like the person you want to become, the qualities you want to have, the character, anything like that. It can be something that you want to possess. Maybe it's a physical possession, maybe it's a lifestyle possession, maybe it's a new car, a new house, a second home, a beach house, whatever it may be for you. It can be some kind of a possession or something you want to do. Maybe it's an experience. Maybe it's an African safari. Maybe it's skiing in the mountains. Maybe it's hiking Mount Everest, whatever it may be. Like, it's your dream and it's going to need a deadline. So basically what we're trying to do, guys, is set ourselves up for success so that we know where we're going and we know when we're going to get there. Because otherwise, we're just drifting. And if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. That's reality, guys. Most people in life choose not to aim at anything because that's the easy way out. And it's much easier not to set goals and potentially fail at them than it is to set goals and set yourself up for disappointment if you do fail. Now, this shocking statistic here, guys, is that only 3% of the population have clearly defined their objectives in life. And if you remember that 3% number, even if you're at just the very edge of that 3%, you're not even top 1 or 2%, your annual salary is $500,000 a year. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd be pretty comfortable living off $500,000 a year. So that doesn't happen by accident, though. Living a life that gets you a $500,000 a year salary takes planning, and you have to have clearly defined objectives. So you need to know where you're going, why you're going there, and when you're going to get there. So the Ziglar Wheel of Life. If you are kind of like, okay, well, I want to set some goals, but where do I even start? This is a great place to start because this outlines every aspect of your life. Every aspect of your life is going to fall into one of these seven spokes. Now, just to move through this real quickly, we have physical, family, mental, financial, spiritual, career, and personal. And as you can see, each one has a number 1 through 10. If you want to give yourself a quick assessment of how you're doing, go ahead and just write down the number for each one of these, whether it's a 1 through a 10. So 1's going to be the very bottom. You're not doing very good at all. You're kind of rock bottom. 10 is you're killing it, like there's little you can do to improve it. So whether you're a 1, a 10, or somewhere in between for each of these, write it down. And then when you're done, just connect the dots in a rough circle. Now, maybe you have all 5s. That's not bad. You're kind of right in the middle. You got a pretty nice round circle, but are you going as fast and as far as you can? If you're all 1s, yes, you have a round circle, but that's extremely small and it's going to take a ton of effort to get anywhere. Now, nobody is at all 10s because nobody's perfect, but maybe you have 8s or 9s in 4 areas, and then you have, 5s, maybe 6s in the rest of the areas. That's going to give us a pretty lopsided wheel. And the Ziglar way of thinking is all about balance. So if we don't have balance in all areas of our life, then that is something to consider setting goals that will get us balanced in each area of our life. So keep that in mind as you go into the next step. Step 1 is set a goal. Now that sounds very simple and basic because it is. It's step 1, so we're starting simple. And all you simply will have done at this step is write down all your dreams on a piece of paper. And this is actually pen to paper, guys, not typing them in on a computer, writing them in on your phone. And I do mean all. This is just getting everything out of your head and onto paper. So once you've done that, if you watch a video, you should have waited 24 to 48 hours before proceeding. Step 2 begins the clarifying and filtering process. So steps 2, 3, and 4 are where we actually start to eliminate goals that we've written down in step 1. So with step two, we're asking ourselves the question, why? Why do I want to be that person? Why do I want to become that? Why do I want to do that? Or why do I want to have that? You answer in one sentence, why. And if you cannot write at least one sentence about why you want that particular goal or why it's your dream, then you cross it off the list. Again, similarly, step three, you're asking yourself these 5 questions. And if you answer no to any one of the questions, then you cross that goal off your list. Again, you must answer yes to all 5 questions, or it is not a goal that you need to be pursuing. Step 4, again, further clarifying. Now our list is getting smaller and smaller. So we're going to go through and ask ourselves these 7 questions. You don't have to answer yes to every single one of them, but you should have at least answered yes to one of them. If you answered yes to at least one, then you can continue and go on to step 5. If you cannot answer yes to at least one, then cross it off your list. So again, getting into step 5 here, now we're not actually eliminating goals. Now we're just doing a little bit further clarifying of the goals that we've already selected. So what we're doing in step 5 is sorting all the goals into one of the following categories based off how long it's going to take us to complete it. So this is all about the timeline from starting your goal to finishing it. If it's a short-term goal, then it's going to take less than a month. If it's an intermediate goal, it's going to take 1 month to 12 months. If it's a long-term goal, then we're looking, as the name implies, long-term, so we're looking at 12 months or longer. And something to notice here, guys, is that not all of your goals are going to fit very nice and neatly into one of these categories. Some goals are going to be ongoing goals to where it's more of a lifestyle goal, or it's more of a character quality goal, relationship goal, something like that, to where it requires continuous work and it's not just a destination or a place you arrive at. I'll use myself as an example. Right now, I have a goal of losing 40 pounds. I've lost 20 pounds. I want to lose another 40 pounds. And that is a goal that I've given myself 6 months to complete. Now, 6 months does not sound like a long time to lose 40 pounds, but when you break it down, that is 6.6 pounds every month I have to lose. And breaking that down further, it's roughly 1.6, 1.7 pounds I have to lose every week. So that makes it in a much more manageable chunk. So I've given myself a 6-month timeline, which makes it an intermediate goal, but I also want to maintain that weight once I reach it. So that means after the initial 6 months, it's going to turn into an ongoing goal. So not all of your goals are going to be strictly short, intermediate, or long term. Some will be ongoing, and that's okay. If it's ongoing, then just label it ongoing. Don't get too hung up on the details. All we're trying to do here is sort them out a little bit. So when we pick our goals, we can pick a balance of short, intermediate, and long range. And that takes us to step 6 coming up, the road forward and the fatal flaws to achieving your goals. So we're going to get into step 6, 7, and 8 here in just a second. And what I want to cover in this video, this is a new content. So everything we've covered previously is based off the last 2, kind of a quick recap. So if you are just jumping in here and you don't need the recap, great. Otherwise, if you're just jumping in and you want to go back and watch, that is perfectly fine as well, whatever works for you. But we're going to go through the next 3 steps, and then at the end, I'm going to just cover some fatal flaws that may inhibit or prevent you from reaching your goal. So step 6, now we're actually getting to the part where we've done the legwork of clarifying our goals. We've done the legwork of writing our goals and filtering them out. And we know that everything on that list is now a goal that is truly ours. It's the right place, the right time. You're the right person to be achieving it. And we're going on to step 6, and we're actually going to pick the goals that we're going to be working on. Now, the way I recommend structuring it based off the performance planner is that you pick 4 goals. Now, if you're brand new to goal setting, then it may be better for you to pick more short-term goals, say 3 short-term and an intermediate goal. If you are relatively comfortable or somewhat comfortable with goal setting, then I would recommend picking two short term, one intermediate, and then one long range goal. And the short term, again, those are going to be kind of quick. You're completing those in less than a month. So maybe it takes you a week, maybe it takes you 3 weeks, but it's less than a month. And the intermediate, those are going to require a little more time and consistency. And the long range goals, those are likely to stretch us and grow us as a person. So it's important to have all three of those because the short term goals help you gain and keep momentum. And the intermediate goals can as well. Maybe that's, maybe it's 6 months, like my goal of losing 40 pounds. That's going to take a little bit of work, but it's also something that I can achieve in the big picture in a relatively short amount of time. So it's important to have a balance with those goals because you don't want to have four long-term goals where you feel like you never really make any progress and you never actually complete them because it takes years and years for it to get done. You also don't want to have only short-term goals because that's not going to be balanced either. So focus on the four goals that you feel and you have thought through and considered are going to be the best for you right now. And those are the four goals that we're taking on to step 7. So now with each of those four goals that we have selected, we're going to do the following 4 steps. And this is important because this will help set us up for success in the long run. So in step 7 here, the first step that we're going to take is make a list of benefits that will come with reaching the goal. And for me, I'll use my losing weight as an example. So some of the big ones are that it's going to extend my life expectancy. Now, granted, I may die in a car accident tomorrow, but I don't want to die of heart disease early because I'm overweight and I have a bad diet. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to have more stamina. I'm going to be able to do more things and enjoy more life. I'm going to spend less money on doctor's visits and medication. So it has a financial aspect of it. And that is the point, is making a list of the benefits. That gives you something to look forward to and gives you a reason to hope and try and achieve for whatever that particular goal is. And then make a list of major obstacles that you might face when pursuing this goal. Because inevitably, guys, when you are striving for something, it's not going to go perfect. I know that may come as a shock to some of y'all, but the truth is that there's going to be mountains, there's going to be peaks and valleys. There may be a river too that you have to cross and get a little wet, but if you take the analogy of the weather, if you know when you leave for work in the morning that it's likely to be raining when you leave work at 5 o'clock, then you're probably going to take an umbrella with you because you don't want to get all soaking wet. And that's what we're trying to do here is we're trying to forecast as much as we can the potential pitfalls and potential stumbling blocks so we can plan for them and as much as we can prepare and avoid them. And that takes us to step 3. Make a list of specific action steps you will need to take in order to reach your goal. And that applies very closely to the second step, because if you know the obstacles that you're going to come against, at least as much as is in your power, you can plan for taking action to avoid and or to mitigate the results of those. So taking actions is very important, and set and write down the date you will complete this goal by. Now, again, we're on a journey and we have a destination, but we want to know when we're going to arrive. So I'll use an example. One of my clients was training for a half Ironman. Like that was one of his goals. He wanted to run a half Ironman. And this is a guy that was not in great shape. And he was kind of starting at square one. He'd been kind of athletic, done some fitness stuff, but nothing to the level of taking on that kind of a endurance race. So what he did, his goal was to run the Ironman. So what we had him do, we went through the steps. We made a list of benefits. We made a list of obstacles. We made a list of specific action steps. And we set a date. And that date was actually him scheduling the day that he was going to run the Ironman. So in this case, it was almost a year out because it takes a substantial amount of training to get to the point where you can do something like that. But we were able to forecast many of the obstacles that he was going to overcome or face. And we were able to forecast the action steps that would be needed to overcome those. And by having a target date, he registered for the race. Therefore, he was committed and he had a date that he was running that Ironman on. So whether it's a physical fitness goal like that, or whether it's just something else, giving it a date gives you some built-in accountability, and it forces you to work towards reaching it, but it also gives you the ability to know where you're at in the process. So like for me, if I get 3 months into my 6 month goal of losing weight and I've only lost 2 pounds, like, okay, well, I'm halfway through and I've only lost two of the 40 pounds I need to lose. So I need to reevaluate what's going on, and I need to make some changes or I'm not going to reach my goal. But if I'm just saying, yeah, I'm going to lose 40 pounds sometime in the future, and I get 3 months down the road and I've only lost 2 pounds, it's like, well, it's okay. I'm just going to do it at some point in the future. So it doesn't really matter if I'm behind or not. So very important to set a date that you're going to complete the goal by. And then step 8, get accountability and review your goals at least weekly. Now, I would recommend reviewing your goals daily, but for starting off, at least once a week. And get accountability, guys, because that's one of the biggest things that my clients say they appreciate is the level of accountability that comes from having a coach. Now, not all of us have close family or friends that we can rely on that would keep us accountable. And that's okay. That's why there is coaches like me, because I want to see you succeed and I want you to live your best life. And I know that if I keep you accountable and I ask the hard questions, then you are much more likely to do that and achieve the greatness that is inside you. So my goals are not your goals, and I'm not going to keep you accountable to my goals. I'm going to keep you accountable to the goals that you set. So if you don't have a coach, maybe you can't afford a coach, or you just feel like you would be better off alone, I would encourage you that you find somebody, whether that's a spouse, maybe it's a parent, a family member, a coworker, whoever it may be for you, somebody that can ask you the hard questions. Hey, how are you doing on your goal? What action steps are you going to take this week? How about the action steps you took last week? Did you finish the ones you said you were going to do? Asking you the accountability questions to make sure you're staying on track is going to make you much more likely to actually follow through and proceed to the end than you would if you were just doing it by yourself. And similarly, reviewing your goals, that helps keep your goals fresh and top of mind. And that's going to help keep you motivated and moving forward. So last slide here, kind of parting thoughts and tips. Give yourself grace. Nobody's perfect, and the purpose of setting goals is not to become perfect. Now, the goal of setting goals, I know, is that you improve. You want to do better today than you did yesterday, and better tomorrow than you did today. And the whole point of that is that you're making small changes and you're improving. So if you happen to fall down or fail altogether, that's okay. It happens. I have embraced my failures because I learned so much more from my failures than I do from my successes. So I'm not starting out with the intention of failing, but I have also shifted my mindset, and I don't view failure as an awful thing. I view it as an opportunity, a circumstance that I can learn from. And again, I want to reiterate, review your goals daily or at least at a minimum once a week. Now, what I would strongly recommend doing is spending Sunday evening charting out the week to come. Now, put in those action steps that you've written down. Foresee or try to forecast any obstacles that are going to come in the week. Build in some accountability. Have somebody that's going to check in on you on Wednesday or Thursday of the week and kind of see how you're doing and make sure that you're getting the things you need to done. But additionally, that's just going to keep you motivated. It's going to keep you focused. And if you review it daily, you're much, much more likely to actually follow through. But at a minimum, if you're getting started, just review it once a week. Again, I recommend Sundays because that kind of sets your week up for success. But if you want to do it Monday morning or you do it on a daily basis, then do it first thing when you wake up. Just spend 5 minutes looking at your goals, kind of planning your day, and you will have a much more productive and much happier day as a result of it. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this content. I'm really passionate about goal setting, and if you want to talk further about it, or you have just kind of no clue where to start, then I would love to offer you guys a strategy session. That's one of my favorite things to do, is just help people gain clarity on where they're going and why they're going there. That is one of the favorite parts of being a coach. So I would love to offer that to you guys. just as a my way of paying it forward. Whether you end up working with me or not, that is my gift to you. So go ahead and like and subscribe, and don't forget to come back next week for more content.